I'm very, very curious right now. I'm wondering if Gene has realized that he is being used, which, judging by what we've seen from his character and how smart he is, I want to assume he has. Judging by how he was able to kind of nail in about, like, how someone was hiding behind a fake smile in this episode, I'm assuming he's noticed the truth behind this, entire rebellion, and he realizes that he's being used for, Lilium and his entire family can be like the next Doa. I'm assuming Gene is already kind of keyed in on that. However, though, this episode really fucking good, because everything that's been building up throughout all of the episodes of the series, from every single portion of the country, all, coming behind Gene and helping him out, it's all taking front and center now. The plot is finally underway, and the final episode is next week, and we will find out how everything is going to conclude. So I do like the, comparison with last week's episode and this latest episode of ACCA 13. Last week's episode showed us an insight to a very poor country, but that was very happy. The citizens, even though they didn't have a lot, and they didn't have a lot to offer, overall they were very happy with what they had, even though it seemed like they should be very pissed off with their living conditions. However, this entire city that we see in the latest episode of ACCA, they seem to have a very good nation. They have a lot of money coming in, wealth, they have a lot of resources. Overall, the nation seems to have a lot of prosperity. But overall, though, behind the surface, a lot of them are not really happy with what truthfully is going on in the country, and you could clearly see that when, Gene starts, questioning him, or like, are you happy, you're smiling or whatever, and he's like, yeah, I'm happy, and Gene was able to realize that this man was definitely lying about how he really feels. So this indicates that there is a contrast between the two, but also showing that this country that is trying to take the lead, Lilium's country, and trying to gain power, they're probably not going to be what's best for the entirety of the country and what ACCA is currently trying to do. So I'm just going to say right now that I'm just curious if Gene is going to continue to play the puppet role until the point he gets a part of the throne. Like, he's, the next king, and then I feel like he's going to throw Lilium and his entire family under the bus and not give them what they want. Because, you got to realize this from this perspective right now. Gene, he has to play the role no matter what. Even if he knew what Lilium was doing in his family, he would have to still play this role. Because if they find out, obviously, since they're the leaders of the rebellion, and they find out that Gene's not going to help them out, obviously, they're going to sabotage it. They're not going to want it to go down like, how it's been going. So, obviously, they would not want Gene to become the next king. So, Gene, if he does know, he's just, allowing them to think he's, their puppet. And then, he's going to turn against them when he has the power and not listen to them at all. But here is the big question I have right now. How did Lilium get the other director, the head, to work underneath him? I'm very curious about this, because we know that this man has a connection with, Gene's entire family. He has a connection to the actual original princess of the Doa Kingdom. So why is this man working for Lilium? That is my big question right now about the series, because that is something that's yet to be revealed, and I'm willing to bet you most likely next week's episode, that's going to be a big part of next week's episode, like the big reveal or whatever, of why he's working for him and all that. And I'm kind of curious exactly why does he seem to be just, falling into this man's hands, like he's just a puppet for him, even though you could clearly see on his face and the way he reacts that he doesn't like it at all. But why is he doing it? Does he have, like, some form of, thing over his head that's being held against him that he doesn't want used against him? Or is it something else? Maybe he realizes that if he does go against Lilium, maybe Gene's life's in danger, and also, his sister, Latte, is most likely in danger as well. So when you look at it like that, you're like, huh, I wonder if that is the reason why he doesn't want to react to anything, and that's kind of why he's playing this role as a puppet. Regardless, though, I do say that this episode definitely set forth into motion everything that we've been wanting from the series, to the final in-game plot, to all the character interactions kind of coming to the surface, and who's on which side. But on top of that, it seems like majority of ACCA has come together and said, yes, this needs to happen. Regardless of what Lilium's family wants to do, this is a very good outcome, because the prince that wants to just completely remove ACCA, that is not a good thing at all, because then there's going to be wars, there's going to be disputes, and on top of that, people are going to be fighting for resources, which we saw in last week's episode. So this is a good outcome for Akka to rally up behind Jean and help him out. Now, speaking of the prince, though, let's talk about him. Once again, we get to see the prince in this episode, and we're starting to see signs that everyone, even his followers and people that kind of support him, are not really supporting him much longer anymore because of how overall he's reacting to everyone. Like, he doesn't seem like he really cares about anyone throughout the entirety of the country. He only cares about himself and his own personal goals. On top of that, too, it seems like he doesn't really care much for the people of his kingdom as well. So, clearly, everything is going against the prince, and he's probably going to lose before everything is said and done. He's probably going to get some character development, but he's probably going to lose just because of his people going to be going against him as well. Not just the people of Akka, but also his people of the Dowa Kingdom, just because of the way he's interacted with everyone and how he's reacted to everyone around him and pushing them away. It's showing clear signs that everything is just going completely against him. Now, let's talk about the assassination attempt. So, the assassination attempt that was going up against Jean, like Jean almost got killed in this episode, he was saved by Nino, his best friend. And in all honesty, I'm kind of sad that Nino had to pop up back in the series just to get shot, because I was asking where he was last week, and then he pops back up and then gets shot. And I'm like, fuck, like, if the man would have gotten shot because of being in the series, I'm like, let this man just be off screen. Damn, like, don't kill this man off or whatever. But thankfully, Nino's alive. He didn't completely die. He's just in the hospital and all that. And I feel like it's because of that scene is why Jean most likely knows that he is being used. Because clearly, the way it was said from Nino, he's like, I was never allowed in this portion of the country. I was never allowed until just recently. Like, this is my first time. Which shows signs that there was something else going on that, you know, Nino wasn't supposed to see. And obviously, since Nino is reporting to the Dowa Kingdom, but also he's helping out his best friend, which is Jean, obviously he would tell Jean what's really going on. We've already seen that he cares about his friend deeply, and also he's willing to take a bullet for him, so there you go, that's another sign as well. So obviously he would say something to Jean if he saw something off, and because of how Nino's character is, and Jean knows how he is, obviously he now realizes, yo, they wanted Nino to get shot. Like, they most likely wanted him to get shot, like Lilium and his family, and that's why they're covering it up, because it'll give, you know, Jean the motive to become the king. And he's probably realizing this, that he's being used, and he's probably going to go against him now because of what has happened to his friend. So yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I love you all so much. You have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.